Yo, what's up with it, y'all? It's JD and I'm back with another quick video. Today's video, I want to talk about confidence. I want to talk about growing confidence. I want to talk about how important confidence and self-esteem is. But before we get into the video, if you guys are interested in fitness, health, travel, overall growth content, go ahead and subscribe to the channel, hit that notification bell so you can get updated every time I drop new content. Now, back to the video. Like I said, I want to talk about confidence, self-esteem, and this is something that I feel like is pretty much a huge problem in society in general. Is that I think that the majority of people in this country, I'm just speaking on America because this is where I live and where I'm from, I would say, because I've been living around the world. But I would say, especially in America, I notice this, and I notice that people have very low self-esteem, and it's because for whatever reason, the system, maybe it's the school system, maybe it's, the type of environment people are growing up in, maybe it's their family structure. People aren't really given confidence. People aren't really like boosting them up as children and basically telling them that they can accomplish things as long as they go through the process and put in hard work. And I think that, for me, there's always been areas of my life I've been super confident. I'm not really one person to say that there's just some baseline confidence in general in life. I feel like we can be extremely confident in one area of our life, and then we can be very, have very low confidence in other areas of our life. And for me personally, I would say I've had low self-esteem in certain areas of my life growing up because I felt like it was my environment that kind of did it to me in terms of, not being taught certain things or not having a good understanding of certain things. And then there's other areas of my life where I have felt more confident naturally. I would say when it comes down to athletics and sports, I've always felt confident because I've always felt like I'm a good athlete. Maybe because when I was young, my dad kind of, steered me towards sports, told me that I come from an athletic family, and I've always kind of had that confidence. When it comes down to dating, I feel like I've always been confident ever since I was young. Maybe because I got certain compliments and maybe because it kind of came a little bit easier towards me. But I know that there's certain people who, weren't confident in that area. Now, when it comes down to certain academic subjects, when I was younger, I used to, be very strong in like science, geography, different things like that. So I've always been super confident when it comes down to that. But then when it comes down to other subjects in school, I didn't really have that much confidence. But I think the true measure of confidence is in proficiency. And the way to get confidence is going to be through repetitions. And this channel is obviously called Growth Through Calisthenics for a reason. And I feel like I've done a ton of growing through calisthenics on a mental, physical, and spiritual level. And it's taught me so many different lessons because the more reps that you put in, the more quality reps that you put in, working out smart, figuring out different ways to optimize your body, optimize, your mind-muscle connection, you're going to gain in confidence when it comes down to calisthenics. And I've been in the calisthenics game for like 5 years now. And now I would say I'm extremely confident in terms of what I can do. And when it comes down to doing all different types of movements that I never really would have thought I've gotten proficient in, now I'm very proficient in them. And really the confidence that I've built through calisthenics has all been through repetitions, laying a brick down every single day. And I would say that in order to even go through this delayed gratification process of calisthenics, it really takes a lot of faith. And I was having a conversation with my boy James earlier today, and we were kind of talking about this faith-based practice, which is calisthenics, and just any faith-based practice, which would be delayed gratification. You almost have to have a certain level of self-esteem to even believe in yourself, to think that you'd even be able to get to a certain level in calisthenics or in athletics or whatever your goal might be. Because if you're going to have lofty goals, that means that you have to have a true self-confidence, from somewhere inside of you. And when it comes down to calisthenics, like when I first started calisthenics, I used to see people doing movements and it's like, man, how is that even possible? But for whatever reason, something inside of me had faith in myself that maybe one day I might be able to get there. So I just started laying a brick down every single day. And I might have laid in 2 bricks the next day and, maybe more the next following day. And it just kept on compounding until I got to the point where I was doing a lot of the movements that I seen other people doing that I thought were superhuman, that I thought was crazy, that was, almost impossible to do. And then another thing is like even with my height, I'm 6 feet tall, which in calisthenics is pretty tall. And a lot of people told me, along my journey, like, no, you're too tall to do this movement. You're too tall to do the planche. You're too tall to do the front lever. And I've made a lot of progress in those areas. I could do a straddle planche now. I can even hold the front lever for like a second or two, but which isn't long. But at the same time, I can still do it for a little bit. I'm getting there, and I'm gonna end up being able to hit that and move beyond that movement as well. But like I said, in terms of the confidence and building confidence, I always like to think about it in terms of like people who are good at taking last second shots in the NBA. A lot of people think that, when it comes down to Michael Jordan or Kobe Bryant or all these great athletes who are good in the clutch, that it's just some killer instinct that they were born with, some type of genetic thing that's made up inside of them. When in all reality, Michael Jordan, if he didn't put in hours and hours and hours in thousands upon thousands upon thousands of jump shots, if Kobe wasn't working on specific moves and fadeaways and, all these different things that he would perform at the end of the game in crunch time, they wouldn't have the confidence to take these shots. They wouldn't have the confidence to make these plays at the end of the game. But because they put in so many different repetitions, they've built that confidence. And, I think a great way to build confidence in general would be through calisthenics. And basically, you're starting off in the physical, but it's actually much more than that. You're going to end up getting a lot of mental confidence, and you're going to start seeing that these changes that your body is making, are going to lead to changes in your mind and changing the way that you move through the world and changing the way that you actually interact with people. Me and James were actually having another conversation recently, and it was about, so if you guys, I don't know, a lot of people who are subscribed to my channel actually found my channel through my first transformation video, which I did probably like 2 years ago, 3 years ago, maybe something around there. But in that video, I was basically just talking about how I kind of transformed my life in terms of leaving a lot of the negativity, toxicity alone, stop drinking, stop doing a lot of different things, put myself in a different environment, so on and so forth. And obviously, when you change mentally and you start taking out a lot of the bad habits in your life and you start moving and getting in touch with nature, it's going to show physically. And that's another thing about calisthenics. It's kind of a mental journey that just shows in the physical form. But even since that initial transformation, I was talking to James and he was like, man, the transformation that you've made from that point up until this point has actually even been greater. And that's in terms of calisthenics that we were talking about. But then I was telling James, I was like, man, on the mental tip, I actually feel like I've made an even bigger transformation, which is crazy because I've made so much progress in my calisthenics, but the mental part of my transformation and the mental gains that I've been, accumulating over time, and just the wisdom and the knowledge and just being open to new ideas, I feel like that stuff can't even really be measured, but I feel like I've come so much further in the last 2 years when it comes down to that than even the calisthenics stuff, and I feel like I've made great progress in that as well. But anyways, guys, I think the calisthenics aspect is a great catalyst for growth. So if you guys are looking to start training calisthenics, if you guys want help along your calisthenics journey, hit up my website. It's travelsthenix.com. You can work with me one-on-one. You can also scoop up one of my programs. You can also book a consultation if you just want to chop it up about kind of mental, spiritual growth as well. I think we need to kind of start having this conversation about confidence and start to figure out ways that we can build up confidence. Another thing that me and my boy G actually talked about recently is that a lot of these Generation Z kids, I mean, they're probably adults too, but to me, they're kids because they're a little bit younger, maybe a generation younger than me. But a lot of them are having a lot of confidence and self-esteem issues. And, you look at them and you're like, man, you got a good life, you got a good foundation. But for whatever reason, I think they're so caught up in this instant gratification world that the world of instant gratification and cheap highs, it almost breeds like self-doubt. It almost breeds low confidence. It breeds low self-esteem. And it's because, you're not in like a faith-based practice. Like when you're scrolling through Instagram all day, when you're playing video games, when you're kind of caught up in that digital world, you're not living in a faith-based practice. You're basically just living in a dopamine-driven world. You're living in, your practice is dopamine-driven. You're not even really on a real journey. You're just kind of sporadic all over the place. It's kind of chaotic. And a lot of times you can get into comparing yourself to others. So then when you see somebody who's actually been on that faith-based journey, who's kind of in that process-oriented lifestyle, that delayed gratification, and they've actually built some stuff up for themselves, you might look at this person and think to yourself like, oh man, this person is just gifted. This person is naturally good at this. You know, you could look at somebody who's doing calisthenics and be like, oh, this person is naturally good at calisthenics. Look at somebody like Kobe Bryant or Steph Curry and think, oh, this person's just, it's their genetics. You know what I mean? It's, you know, it's their upbringing. It's their pedigree. They both had NBA fathers. But in all reality, you know, they might have had a little bit more structure earlier on in their life, but we can all build up confidence. We can all build up skill sets. And once we build up these skill sets and we put in work in that delayed gratification area of life, you're going to see that you're going to start building up a lot more confidence. And anyways, one last thing before I end this video. You know, I was seeing this girl in San Francisco when I was out there, and she had invited me to her office, and it was it was like a cryptocurrency company. But anyways, I went into the office, and my presence getting into the office, I'm not saying this to be arrogant or conceited or think that I'm better than anybody, but there was an obvious difference between me and all the other men in that office. And it was basically almost the way that I carried myself, obviously the way I am physically, because, you know, I take pride in my body. My body is my temple. And, you know, I treat it well. And just in terms of just the way I walk and the way I move. And I could almost tell that all eyes were on me when I was walking into the office. And obviously these dudes probably all make more money than me, to be honest with you. They're working for a crypto company. And, you know, they probably have a good skill set when it comes down to the digital world, but when it comes down to the physical world and having social skills and, you know, carrying yourself in a certain way, having a certain level of confidence. And as much as people think that being physically fit can be something that's shallow, I actually don't think that it's shallow at all. I think it says something about, you know, building yourself up. And I think it's really important that we all find some form of physical activity that we really love. Calisthenics is my form of physical activity that I love. And, you know, when you work on yourself in a physical form, it's obviously going to show in your body. But I kind of was talking to this girl too about it. And a lot of these dudes who are in that whole tech scene, it's kind of obvious that these dudes are kind of socially awkward. And I'm not saying all of them, but there's a lot of dudes in that tech world who are socially awkward. They might have problems with women. And I think it's just built based on the fact that they've, you know, put so much of their time and their energy into, you know, working on the mental aspect of their life or working on developing that tech skill set, that they don't have any balance and they haven't developed those social skills. They've been in front of a computer screen all day. They've been in the digital world all day. They haven't developed their bodies. They haven't, you know, because when you start feeling better and you take care of your body, you take care of your health, you're gonna naturally have more confidence. You know, I'm gonna drop a video about this soon, and it's gonna be about the connection between calisthenics performance and the connection between mental performance. And there's actually a lot of scientific facts that show that, you know, when you put work in on the physical end, it actually helps you in terms of your mood, in terms of your confidence, in terms of your cognitive abilities. There's a link between physical and mental and also spiritual as well. But when you're not balanced and you don't work on all these things, you're going to have an imbalance in terms of where your confidence is at and where your self-esteem is high. So a lot of these dudes who might have money, they might have good careers in the tech industry and cryptocurrency, whatever it may be, but on the back end, they don't have any confidence when it comes down to women. They don't have any confidence when it comes down to meeting new people. So when it comes down to making connections, they have a hard time speaking to people because their social skills aren't on point. And granted, I would say I'm somebody I don't necessarily consider myself an introvert, but I'm somebody who's very selective about who I spend my time around and who I actually engage with in general in public. And for myself, I really have no problem when it comes down to expressing myself socially around strangers, even though I'm somebody who does enjoy solitude, enjoy my private time. And it's just because of the confidence that I've built up in terms of, you know, speaking to people and going out and meeting people. And I think that if there's anything positive that came out of my time of, you know, going around chasing women all the time and going out to clubs and bars, is that I did work on my social skills a lot. And also I would say that I've had jobs where I had to speak to the public as well. So I would say that helped out as well. So honestly, it's just kind of like training. You gain what you train for, and when it comes down to real world, you develop skills in where you put your energy and you put your time. But anyways, guys, if you guys have anything you want to leave in the comment section, go ahead and leave it in the comment section. I'd love to hear from you. Also, if you guys want to train with me, Travelsthenix.com. Links will be in the description box below. I also got some merch on my website, Travelsthenix.com/shop. That link will be in the description box below as well. Hope everybody's having a great day out there. If you guys are new to the channel, subscribe to the channel. Make sure you like the video so it can get out into the algorithm. Hope everybody's having a great day. Peace.